Hello. So currently I am working on not one, not two, not even three, but 4 hour-long videos. They're four of my most ambitious videos yet. One of them is on hold. At least two of them have the potential to be over an hour, and one of them is definitely going to surpass my Codename Kids Next Door video as the longest video on this channel, and I'm very excited for it. Because of that, though, I won't really be doing anything for a while, so to make up for the, I guess, content drought, I threw together kind of a lazy video. If you're new here, I don't normally record stuff with my phone, so yeah. Not too long ago, hold on, let's see if I can get my mouse. I did the Megamind timeline, and then in that video, I teased doing a Donner Superman timeline. And so this is that. It's a lot more complicated than you think it would be. It gets even crazier down here. But, oh shit. But this is the entire thing. Ignore that one at the bottom. That's for later. I've seen a lot of other videos trying to explain the Superman timeline, and they're all wrong. Every last one of them. They're all bad. Mine is the definitive one. Mine is the actual, true, real canon one, because unlike everyone else, I pay attention. I'm not being rude, I am simply telling the truth. Okay, well, by pay attention, I mean pay attention to Superman, not pay attention to everything. Oh, whatever. So we begin with what is definitively the beginning of the series, and that is Superman 1978. No matter what, this movie is canon to everything. And so we begin our first timeline, Earth 96, which has Superman 2, the Richard Donner extended cut. Now I'm putting specifically the extended cut version because I believe that is the truly canon one. Also, before I say anything else, I will probably release this full timeline somewhere. I don't know where. I might post it on my community tab or my DeviantArt. My DeviantArt's been down lately and I can't get the password back, but whatever. I don't want this blurry video to be the only documentation of this timeline. So there are two reasons why Superman the Donner Cut is the real canon version. Firstly, the entire movie doesn't even happen. It's all an alternate timeline. Superman flies around the world and then resets everything. So the whole movie literally doesn't happen. But the one thing that changes or the one thing that stays the same, is that Lois seemingly remembers Superman is Clark Kent. Then we have Superman 3, and I'm putting them all in the same year, 1978, because I do kind of like that idea that the whole trilogy happens in one year, almost like it's a cartoon. Like in some cartoons, they do one Christmas special and one Halloween special, implying that it's all just one year, even though that makes no goddamn sense. But anyway, Superman 3, the important thing to know about this one is this is the one where he goes crazy and fights himself. And also Richard Pryor is there for some reason. Did he die in like 2004 or 2005? The only other Richard Pryor thing I've seen aside from this movie is the first Black President skit, and he died before Obama became president, and that is kind of sad. He never got to see the actual first Black President. And then we have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, where he gets rid of all the nukes, and he fights Nuclear Man, and Lex Luthor comes back. This one also introduces Lacey Warfield, which will be an important detail. But something else, that there's a kid in this movie. I think his name is Jeremy. And he's the one who like suggests Superman get rid of all the nukes. And I like to think that his full name is Jeremy Jones. And after he did that, people started like asking him for help with stuff. And he would like give answers and suggestions. He'd go around, become this like kind of local hero, solving people's problems and stuff. And so he would get the nickname Genius Jones. But also in Superman 4, Lois remembers that Clark is Superman, which does, tie back to Superman 2, the Donner Cut, specifically the Donner version, where she is hinted to still remember. So, yeah, it's canon. But even though Superman doesn't really want to start a relationship with Lois, not in 78, eventually he would warm up to the idea because at an unknown point in time, his son Jason would be born. And I will elaborate on that. However, unfortunately, sometime after that, in 1996, the Joker would attack the Daily Planet and basically Joker gas the whole place and kill everybody. One of the names shown in the memorial is Lacey Warfield, who, remember, introduced way back in Superman 4. Then we come to the Arrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earths episode. See, I don't know if universes have the same year. I feel like they shouldn't, but it's easier to just assume that they do. So since that episode was in 2019, we can assume that this also happens in 2019. So they meet Superman, and actually, hold on, let me pull up an image of him. So yeah, we meet Earth 96 Superman, and he's played by Brandon Routh. And a lot of people say, oh, okay, so he has to be the Superman Returns version because he's also Brandon Routh. No. He is still the same Superman as Christopher Reeve. Him being played by a different actor does not mean anything. There is no in-canon reason why he's a different actor. Superman Batman Apocalypse is the canon sequel to Superman Batman Public Enemies, and notice how he looks completely different. He's more cartoony, he's more buff, his costume is more colorful, and then here he's drawn more realistic. It's not literally a different universe, it's just shown through a different lens. The same logic can be applied to the comic since the comic is literally set in the main timeline, and he doesn't usually look like this in the main timeline. So, no, Brandon Routh not being Christopher Reeve, that has nothing to do with anything. They are intended to be the same version, so they are the same version. Crisis Superman even says, oh, this isn't the first time I went crazy and fought myself, a direct reference to Superman 3. And then, yes, he also has his son Jason. Jason is normally considered the other guy, the fucker from Sonic. He's like supposed to be his son. It's not like common knowledge that Clark was Jason's dad. So if he is considering Jason his son in this world, then that would have to mean it's not the same Jason from Superman Returns. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. Which actually, to specify, when I say it's unlikely, I mean it's unlikely that him and Lois would have a kid together, but again, it's not impossible. Anyway, Earth 96 is destroyed by antimatter, and remember, we've specified that this is the canon original version of Superman, so he is definitively dead now. This is actually how the original Christopher Reeve Donnerverse Superman is supposed to die, which is a little sad. It is kind of anticlimactic. But with Earth 96 destroyed, it is eventually rebooted into New Earth 96, is what we'll call it. So again, Superman is still canon, but now we have Superman 2, what was the guy's name? The Lester cut, the theatrical cut. And in this version, Lois's memories are completely erased. She doesn't remember Superman being Clark Kent at all. But also, Lex Luthor remembers going to the Fortress of Solitude, which means that whole adventure didn't get erased from time. And another thing, actually, I'll get to that in a moment, but after this happens, hold on, I need to move it. Clark leaves for Krypton, because he thinks it's still there, but plot twist, it wasn't, it exploded, who knew. And then we have a 5-year time skip, and during that time skip, 2 things happen. Supergirl and the birth of Jason, canon Jason. Supergirl is probably like the most unintentionally funny movie in this entire series. There's a part where she's flying and she just like slams into a invisible force field and flops over. It's so abrupt, it's hilarious. Also, who are Superman's enemies? Who are his enemies again? Let's see. Lex Luthor, Zod, Bizarro, Nuclear Man. So Lex Luthor and a bunch of like fake evil Superman. Who does Supergirl fight in her movie? Oh, Satan, the devil himself from the actual Bible. This movie is so weird. It doesn't feel like it's the same universe at all. Most people might say, well, it's canon to the original timeline because it has not really the same, but a similar campy tone. But I think it's more likely that it's the rebooted version. Also because, hold on, hate having to keep doing this, but this right here is the other universe, Earth 38 Supergirl. And so if he doesn't recognize her, that means that they haven't met. But they also don't really meet in this movie at all, so I guess it could be canon to both universes, but I'm saying it's canon to the reboot timeline. And also because Superman in this movie is off in space somewhere, so it does fit with him, like, leaving Earth. But anyway, we then come to 2006, Superman Returns. And yes, the date on the bottom of each thing is not the year the thing was released, it's the year the thing happens in. You might think, but wait, how is it 78, 5-year time skip 2006? How does that work? The math ain't mathin'. Well, I kind of like when the timeline contradicts itself like this because, Superman, he's kind of like a sci-fi version of Hercules. And a lot of Hercules myths, they can be sometimes kind of contradictory or confusing, not make sense. There's historical inconsistencies. I like the idea that, like, he's like 90 years old, but he just doesn't age. And not just Superman, but like everyone is 90. Like Lois didn't age at all since the 70s. And I only like this with Superman specifically, not any other superhero. Every Superman story is set in the same universe, even though they contradict each other, is what I like to think. But anyway, in Superman Returns, Lex Luthor, he remembers the Fortress of Solitude, and at the same time Lois doesn't remember, so it's not the whole alternate timeline thing. And something else, actually, if the timeline got erased in Superman 2, then how did him and Lois have a kid if the whole thing got erased? So if he just erased her memory and didn't actually turn back time, then that explains how there was still insemination. I don't know. That whole thing is fucking weird. So at an unknown date, Supergirl returns from Argo City and she meets Superman for the first time. We don't know when this happens. It's just somewhere after 2006. I just remembered Argo is like underwater in this version. What the fuck was that even about? Why are there Kryptonians underwater on Earth? They're basically Atlanteans then, which is kind of crazy because I think Power Girl was supposed to be Atlantean for a while, so, and that was after the Supergirl movie, so they weirdly kind of predicted one of the retcons. So the Flash movie cameo, I was going to put it in 2023, but then I remember that whole movie takes place like 10 years in the past, so 2013, and again, going off the assumption that every universe has the same time scale, then yeah, this is 2013. And then finally, the ending of Crisis, we now see Superman, he's got graying hair, he's got like a more futuristic looking S, 2019, so this, technically, I know it is kind of crazy to think the Crisis thing happens after the Flash cameo. Huh. Okay, so technically the Superman timeline itself is done, and then we scroll down, just ignore all this, ignore all that, that's a whole nother can of worms. We go down to the Tim Burton Batman universe. A universe that I think, personally, kind of overrated, whatever. Everyone loves it, it's alright. So here we have Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Similar to Superman and Superman 2, these are going to be canon to just about everything that happens. And somehow this is going to be even more complicated than the Superman timeline. But we go on to Earth 89. Oh gosh. This. So Superman Lives is a canceled movie by Tim Burton that would have adapted the death and return of Superman with Nicolas Cage getting killed by Doomsday. Nicolas Cage Superman, that's, hold on, let me actually pull up. This is Superman Lives. This looks like a porno parody. Not that I would know it. Never mind. Anyway, so this picture isn't actually from the movie itself. It's, I think, a documentary, The Death of Superman Lives. There's Kevin Smith right there. So we're going to say this is canon. You're going to see why. Because after that, Batman vs. Superman, the 2004 version that never got made. Bale? This might be fan art. It was rumored, actually, hold on, let me pull up another thing real quick. you ever seen I Am Legend? It's a pretty good movie, or at least sometimes it is. There's a Easter egg in it. Batman Superman. Yeah, there's like this giant ass billboard. Really trying to make sure you see it. It's on screen for like 5 whole minutes. And I think this is the same one. Hold on. What year was I Am Legend? 2007? I clicked on that thing. This says 2004. I don't know. But yeah, this was rumored to continue the Michael Keaton Batman movies, and something very important happens in this one, where a big part of the plot is that Lex Luthor clones the Joker, so the Joker is still alive. A very important detail. Then we have, these are all listed as unknown because I don't know when any of these would have been. Then we have Batgirl, the unreleased Batgirl movie. Apparently this one also was going to continue Michael Keaton Batman. Fucking everything under the sun was going to continue Michael Keaton Batman. Everyone really likes Michael Keaton Batman. Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts, woo! And then it ends where 2019, the Arrowverse crisis again. It says Batman captures Joker. How can he capture the Joker if he killed him way back in the original Batman 89? Well, he captures him because it's not the real Joker. It's the clone created in Batman vs. Superman. And if Superman's going to be there, might as well say it's the same as the other Tim Burton superhero. It's the Tim Burton Nicolas Cage Superman. So it all kind of makes sense. And I also like how, again, since Earth 89 is the like non-canon destroyed universe that doesn't exist anymore, I like the idea that everything in this timeline are movies that didn't get made. This is the in-universe reason why none of these saw the light of day. It's because that blasted anti-monitor destroyed Earth 89 with his antimatter. But somehow, before we go to Earth 89, New Earth 89, we actually have to go to a different universe, Earth 97. And again, Batman and Batman Returns are still canon in Earth 97. So we have Superman's debut happens at an unknown point in time. And I have a picture of Shaquille O'Neal right here with a Superman tattoo showing that Superman is canon. I don't know when this is it the same as Nicolas Cage Superman? Potentially, since Joel Schumacher is directing these, I'm going to say it's not the same Nicolas Cage Superman. But also the real reason why is because I'd have to change the little branches, and that'd be too difficult. I don't feel like doing that. But we're just going to say it's different Superman, because in one of these, Batman and Robin, I believe, he says, this is why Superman works alone. Very clever, Mr. Batboy. And so, again, Shaquille O'Neal, he confirms Superman. All these happen in 1997. Oh, God. I don't know, I'm so tired. Moving on. This is non-canon. Batman Triumphant, a.k.a. Batman Unchained, also from 1997. Got Jeff Goldblum, Scarecrow, and Madonna as Harley Quinn's daughter, which has some implications, all right. And yeah, this is another canceled movie that didn't happen. Notice how it's on the non-canon side of the timeline that was destroyed by the antimatter wave. Why is it so far away? There you go. Destroyed by the antimatter wave in Crisis. So that doesn't exist anymore. And then the new version of it, New Earth 97, still has all the old shit. All the old shit is still canon. But in New Earth 97, we also now have Steel and Catwoman. Now, you might ask, why is Steel and Catwoman canon? Well, for one thing, Steel, I think, does include Batman and Superman. So, it's canon. And it's also Shaq. I forgot to mention that. Shaquille O'Steal. And then Catwoman references Michelle Pfeiffer. And you could say, well, maybe it's in Earth 89 or New Earth 89. But I think Catwoman does kind of fit tonally with Earth 97 more. And by fit tonally, I mean it's bad. It fits in the sense that it's bad. That scene where she's like licking herself just makes me cringe. But anyway, there's also An unknown future. Now put that in your back pocket because we're going to come back to that. So going back to, Earth 89 after it was destroyed, we now have new Earth 89. Sorry if this whole video is like really scuffed. I want to do this as quickly as possible before my brother gets home. And yeah, the angling. Oh, look at this great angle. It's so great. But yeah, New Earth 89. We have Superman, Nicolas Cage Superman, fully realized in glorious CG, and he battles the iconic Thanagarian Snare Beast. Everyone knows the Thanagarian Snare Beast. It's a whole in-joke. I don't remember why, because it's the Thanagarian Snare. Fucking shit. But yeah, then after that, there is an unknown future. So we're going to scroll down, and so I'm not going to map out the entire DCEU because I ain't doing all that. But in the Flashpoint reality, New Earth 89 Batman from that universe's future, this dotted line symbolizes him getting displaced into that reality. And all of his memories remain, and some of his history stays intact. And he dies a bunch of times. He gets killed, and the timeline gets reset over and over again. But, which actually, if they say every time you time travel, the multiverse gets kabobbled, but then Flash time traveled like 8 times when Batman and Supergirl kept dying, then why didn't... But anyway, yeah, this Batman gets killed a bunch of times, brought back to life in the Flashpoint reality. After that reality was erased, I guess we can assume he was sent back to the future of New Earth 89. We don't really know. Maybe he's just fucking dead forever. I don't know. But in 2004, we now have the timeline getting reset again with Nora dying, and Flashpoint now becomes post-Flashpoint. And in the new reset version, remember, the future of New Earth 97, Batman is plucked from that future and brought into 2023 of the post-Flashpoint DCEU. And there he is, New Earth 97 Batman. But the timeline doesn't end there. No, it keeps going. Somehow it still gets more and more complicated. It still gets more and more complicated. So 2023, we have Dark Crisis, a comic book event where some shit happens. I don't know, fucking know. So Superman 2, after Superman 2, the canon Superman 2, and then after Batman Returns, they both get fused they both get fused together, becoming Earth 789. Haha, get it? 789, as in 78 and 89. It's clever. Fuck you. So, Superman 78, the, I guess, technically now canon sequel to the original Superman 2. It's a comic book where he fights Brainiac, and apparently I think Brainiac is modeled after an actor. It's hold on. I'm gonna keep Westworld, not the TV show. This actor from Westworld is what Brainiac is modeled after. So that's kind of a neat detail. Also in Westworld, the movie, I haven't seen the show, there is a part where they're like, oh, the hands, they haven't perfected the hands. Look at the hands. And that's how you can tell if someone's an android or not, is the way their hands look. And that kind of reminds me of like how AI for a while, hands were like how you tell if something's made with AI. I think now, actually, if you want my advice, audio is what you should really be looking out for. It always has that weird glassy, like it sounds like if you were to take a fisheye lens and then translate that into a sound, that's what like AI audio sounds like. But anyway, Superman 78, I haven't read it. I haven't read any of the 789 comics. Get it, 789. I do want to, but I didn't feel like it, and I don't think they would have anything that contradicts it. I don't really care enough to check. But then there's also 78, The Metal Curtain, a sequel to 78. And I think one of these, they introduced Green Lantern at some point, actually. But then moving on to 89, there's Batman 89, which introduces Batgirl. Crazy how there were actually 3 Batgirls in this universe. There's Barbara Gordon, and then this version is, I think, Barbara like Smith or something like that. So now we have our 3rd canon Batgirl in the 89 universe. And I also think they get a new Robin. They introduce a new Robin also. But then there's also the sequel to 89, which is 89 Echoes. Again, I don't really know what any of that is. I don't know if it contradicts the timeline. Hopefully not. But probably, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be fine. And yeah, this is the complete, full timeline of everything. Can't even fit the whole thing on the page because of how big it all is. Starts off pretty simple, like, oh, okay, yeah, and then it just gets real fucky around here. But one last thing, actually, before we go. Just for, fun, just for shits and giggles, I made my own version called Earth 78. None of the versions with so many different versions of the Donnerverse, they never once call it Earth 78, which is kind of a missed opportunity. So I made my own headcanon version. This is just how I think, or how I would like the timeline to go. So we have Superman, again, the original, always a classic. Superman 2, the Donner cut. Well, actually, no. Technically, it's both. I don't care which one it is. I guess preferably it's the normal Superman 2. If the Donner cut is an alternate timeline, does that mean they're both canon? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which Superman 2 it is. They're mostly the same anyway. Then we have Superman 3. That's Superman 3. And then Superman meets Spider-Man, which is, I think this drawing is fan art. I don't know where it came from, but there is Christopher Reeve with, I don't know the actor's name, but the 70s version of Spider-Man. And the drawing is based on an actual comic where the two of them meet and they do that same pose. Obviously, this is not canon and could never be canon, but, whatever. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, and maybe he actually leaves Earth in this one. I know that would be kind of not make sense, since his whole thing that he's trying to protect Earth would have, because of his peacekeeping mission. That's whenever he leaves Earth. That's why he's not on Earth in Supergirl, and that's why he's gone from the timeline for so long. Yeah, because for a while I actually thought that is how Superman 4 ended, where it's just him leaving Earth, just ditching them, being like, okay, bye, fuck all you. And I actually put Supergirl after it because, shit, I just remembered, I think Superman Returns isn't in this timeline anyway, so, okay, forget the whole thing about Superman leaving Earth in Superman 4. I don't even know my own timeline. I put Supergirl after Superman 4 because that's actually the order that I watched them in, even though it's supposed to go before. Who gives a shit? Fuck you. And then Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Robin, all this usual shit. And then we have World's Finest. Instead of Batman versus Superman, it's Batman and Superman. It's World's Finest team up. They're not going to fight. They're going to team up because that's better. And then Supergirl and Batgirl in 1999, basically taking this Supergirl and this Batgirl and having them team up. I think with all the other timelines, there's never actually a timeline where Supergirl and Batgirl exist at the same time, which is kind of a shame. But yeah, and then we have Justice League, 1999. Yes, that is John Wesley Shipp as Flash and Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. It's not canonically those same versions of them. They just look like them, whatever. And then also this image, again, fan art, don't really know where it came from. It's reposted a lot. I wish I could find the artist. If I do, I might put their name in the comments. I don't really know. Swear to God, I can never just make a short video. I just have to freaking yap on forever. It's already 30 minutes. So Kingdom Come happens in 2006 is when the Joker attack happens and everyone dies, and then 2016 is when they all come back. I absolutely fucking love Kingdom Come. I actually have the comic somewhere. I'm not gonna bother digging through to find it. I love the art by Alex Ross, one of the best parts about it. And then also, I guess that would technically make Supergirl in this one grows up to be Power Woman in Kingdom Come. And then finally we have Crisis on Infinite Earths 2019, 3 years after Kingdom Come. Their universe is destroyed and it's reset. Earth 78 is now rebooted into New Earth 78, which is Superman 78, Superman 2 again, Superman 78 the comic, Metal Curtain, and then he leaves for Krypton, and then Supergirl happens only 1 year later. Dang, I'm kind of regretting not putting Superman 4 in the timeline now. Shit. Whatever. So yeah, Batman happens during actually the 5-year time skip when Superman is off-world, returns, the other sequels don't happen, it's the comic, and then Echoes, and then Superman comes back for Superman Returns, then we get another World's Finest, though this one is slightly different, and then Death and Return of Superman, which this one is not it's not Superman Lives or the actual comic Death and Return of Superman. My idea is that it's the canceled, unreleased version of Superman Returns 2, where Brainiac goes to Earth and then he fuses with Jason, which is kind of weird, but whatever. They turn into either like not Brainiac. They turn into either Bizarro or Doomsday, and then they fight Superman, and Superman basically has to kill his own son, which is fucked up, but whatever. And going off the assumption that they turn into Doomsday, he actually kills Superman, and then he comes back to life, and then defeats Doomsday, but in doing so destroys both Brainiac and Jason. And then we have the finale of the Donnerverse, All-Star Superman. I really, really like the idea that the animated All-Star Superman movie is the canon ending to the Donner movies. There are a lot of like small inconsistencies, I think, with like both timelines when you try to put it in. Like, is his mom still alive? Does Lois know that he's Superman? And then again, Jason, I think, being the biggest conundrum, either fucker from Sonic like adopted him, divorced Lois, and then just like left, or he dies. And that's why Jason isn't anywhere to be mentioned in All-Star Superman. But yes, this is the canon, since I feel like the actual Donnerverse really doesn't have a fitting ending. It keeps retconning stuff and making sequels to the original, but it never really closes out the story in a satisfying way. I love the idea of All-Star Superman, where I'm not going to spoil what happens, but he dies, kind of. He turns into pure energy. Okay, never mind. I guess I will spoil it. Fuck. And like I said earlier, I like the idea that Superman is Hercules. So it's like this whole idea of like, he left Earth forever, but then he came back, but then his whole family died, but then the universe got rebooted, and then in the rebooted universe he died again and then came back to life again, and then he died again and came back to life again. And there's all these like minor inconsistencies and errors, and I think there's just so much charm to that in a way. It truly makes Superman feel mythic, like a legend that's passed down. Like thousands of years from now, the Legion of Superheroes find a torn up newspaper of the historical hero Superman, and they use futuristic hologram technology shit to bring the newspaper back. But because of like weird technology editing, because it's all AI generated, all the newspapers say different shit. So they're like, well, which is the actual real historical Superman? We don't know. Is it the 1940s Golden Age era Superman that couldn't actually fly or use heat vision? Is it the, cosmic armor, like super overpowered modern Superman? Is it the silly Silver Age one? Is it the more grounded, realistic ones? Like, I don't know. I really like the idea that they're all one Superman and it's all one universe. As Christopher Reeve said himself one day, it's all one world, which he was referring to like the actual human world and how people need to like be more respectful of each other. But whatever. I'm fine taking quotes out of context and completely mischaracterizing them as long as I'm not doing it in a bad way. So yeah, this is my Superman timeline. I hope you enjoyed listening to me waffle on for 35 minutes and be very autistic. Hopefully those 4 hour long videos are going to come out. They're my most ambitious videos I will probably ever do. And yeah, that's all I've got for you now, and have a great day.